Happy opening day to everyone that celebrates. My name is Avery Taylor, and today I'll be bringing you my season predictions for the 2025 MLB season. We'll have standings, we'll have awards, we'll even have a World Series winner prediction. Let me know what you guys believe will happen in the season down below. As always, I hope you guys enjoy it, and let's get into the video. Kicking it off with some standings, we have the American League East to start things out. There isn't necessarily a bad team within this division, but there has to be a bottom feeder, so we are going to talk about the Tampa Bay Rays being there at a sub 500 record. Next is the Blue Jays. Who knows where they'll be after the deadline, especially if they get off to a poor start. Then you have the Yankees, who I think will regress quite heavily without Garrett Cole and Juan Soto. Then you have the Baltimore Orioles finishing once again in that kind of 90 win range. I don't know if they took the steps that would propel them to a division win. And then you had the Boston Red Sox, who I think clicked all the right buttons this offseason, had a pretty decent season last year, added a few stars on top of that. I think they're a team primed to break out here in 2025. In the AL Central, you can really spin it in a number of ways, with the exception of the White Sox. They're going to be historically bad once again there at the bottom. But you have four teams that realistically you could each make an argument for that could punch up and be that division winner. I don't know if they're going to find the holistic success that they did last year. So for that, I do have a lot of them regressing. I have the Detroit Tigers finishing sub 500 at 78 and 84. You have the Guardians taking a bit of a step back. I think they will see a regression within their bullpen just kind of naturally, and then they trade away a good bit of their offensive prowess. You also have the Kansas City Royals taking a step back at 84 wins, and then the Minnesota Twins finally staying healthy somehow, even though they're already showing signs of that injury history once again revealing its head. But this is going to be the year the Twins put it together to at least win 88 games and win the division kind of just by default. And then you have the American League West, who certainly has a lot of teams that are starting to come a lot closer together in terms of talent. And it's going to be interesting to see where they end the year. I think teams like the Athletics and Angels, they're creeping up on these teams at the top of the division. Maybe not quite there yet, but they are putting together competitive rosters that will be scary to face come September. Then you have teams like the Astros, who you could argue definitely took a step back this offseason. That's where I view it. I have them actually finishing sub 500. Then you have the Rangers and Mariners. Mariners, we know the story with them. They refuse to invest in this team, but their pitching staff will likely carry them to a pretty good record. And I'm expecting big things out of Julio Rodriguez this year. And then you have the Rangers, who invested into this team onto their offense once again. Pitching staff's a little shaky, but that's always the story with the Rangers. And this year, maybe health will be better on their side, and that'll lead them to a division crown. Moving over to the National League, once again staying in the East, we have three teams that realistically can make their case to win the division. Here we have the New York Mets, we have the Philadelphia Phillies, and the Atlanta Braves, who are looking for a bounce back. Philadelphia Phillies are going to be my pick, finishing at 97 and 65, followed by the Mets at 93 and 69. Braves 90 72, and then you have a fall off to the Nationals at 73 and 89. They are a team kind of like the Athletics and Angels that they're going to be a team that's really scary to face come September. If they get hot, they continue to play good baseball and get these prospects up, but not the Marlins. The Marlins at the bottom of the division, not going to be good. Probably not going to have really too many bright spots on that team. In the Central, there had to be a loser. So I picked my favorite team, the Pittsburgh Pirates. I foolishly predicted them to outperformed their expectations last year, making it as the final wild card spot as like a low win team. Not making that mistake again. The Pirates are not good. They didn't invest into their team, even though they do have a young team with some talent. I just have no faith in them. Followed by the Cardinals, didn't do anything, got worse in the offseason. And then you're followed by the Cubs, Reds, and Brewers, who you I think could all make an argument to win this division. The Reds, obviously, a bunch of young talent coming up. They invested in that talent, grabbing Brady Singer this offseason, Taylor Rogers. They did do some moves that improved this team, but I think ultimately it's going to be the Cubs who grab that division crown. They've brought up Matt Shaw to be their third baseman, got rid of Isaac Produce, who really struggled for them last year. Also got in Kyle Tucker in that huge move with the Astros. So there is a lot of good that they did this offseason, and I could see a little natural regression from the Milwaukee Brewers. And then finishing with the National League West, we had the Colorado Rockies finishing at the bottom. I do like some of the pieces they're starting to formulate there. I would have them cracking more than 70 wins in probably any other division, but they're in the National League West. That's just way too loaded of a place for them to keep up. So I have them finishing at 69 wins, followed by the Giants, who are going to finish just barely below 500 at 80 and 82. I just think they're trying to force a window that's not quite there. I do like that they're investing in this team, but it feels like you're just kind of churning out the same middle of the pack results by doing so. For the Padres, it felt like they lost a lot in this offseason, didn't really do much to invest back into this team. So I have them taking a hit on their overall record down to 87 and 75. Yeah, the Diamondbacks, who I think will bounce back into the postseason picture at 92 and 70. And then the Dodgers, who are just incredible, finishing with a 105 and 57 record in the 2025 season for the best record in baseball. Moving over to the awards, we had the American League Rookie of the Year. It was really tough for me because I really wanted to pick one of the Boston Big Three. You have Marcelo Meyer, Christian Campbell, and Roman Anthony. I think all of them will come up really early on in the season and they'll help this team get to that postseason, which will create a great storyline around them because sometimes winning the Rookie of the Year and some of these other awards is just as much about building a storyline as it is being an excellent player on the field. I think helping Boston win this division, get back in the playoffs, will be a great story for them. And for this, I picked Roman Anthony. I think he's just a sick player. There's nothing really to take away from his game. Good outfielder, good solid defender. Plus, you have that excellent hit tool to go along with excellent game power. We've seen it flash all spring long, and he's just going to be a really sick player overall. There's just nothing really to take away from his game. He'll be up early in the year if he doesn't make the roster out of camp. Just not much to take away from Anthony here. He's going to be sick. He's my rookie of the year vote. And then the National League, it's a very similar story. Matt Shaw coming up with the Chicago Cubs, starting the year on the MLB roster. Didn't look the best in Tokyo, but it's 2 games. Give this guy some time. He looks fantastic. The batting stance I can't get past. That just looks so uncomfortable, but it gets him to a spot where he hits well. He's hit well all across the minor leagues, and I have no fear that he's not going to hit in the major leagues. He's going to be great this year. He probably doesn't have the highest ceiling compared to like a Roman Anthony, but he will be fantastic for this team. He's actually developed pretty well as the fielder as well. So he should be great. He's going to be my pick for the National League Rookie of the Year. For my American League Cy Young, I think taking Garrett Cole off the ballot probably does help this guy quite a bit. I'm going to go with Cole Reagans of the Kansas City Royals. He has looked fantastic ever since his move to Kansas City. So far during that split, he has posted well under a 2 ERA, striking out over 10 batters per 9 innings. He finished fourth in the Cy Young voting last year. He is fantastic. And then you go and put him in Kauffman Stadium, which is just known to help out pitchers. He's just there's just so much to enjoy about this pitcher, and I love where he's at. I think he would definitely make a strong candidate for Cy Young here in the American League. For the National League Cy Young, I had to slip in some of my Pirates bias somewhere, and that's going to be Paul Skeens winning the award. What we saw last year was just absolutely unprecedented. 23 starts, 1.96 ERA, finished third in the Cy Young voting, first in Rookie of the Year, was the All-Star starter. There's just nothing to hate about this guy. He's all baseball, all business. Obviously, the media does blow him up quite a bit, so I can understand how it gets annoying from that perspective. But if that's the only thing I get to enjoy as being a Pirates fan is watching Paul Skeens pitch, I'm okay with that because every 5 days he just puts on an absolute show. And I'm excited to see what he does here in 2025. Hopefully, he can stay healthy. And if he does, I don't know how he's not the Cy Young front runner. For the American League Cy Young, I did go with a bit of a sneaky sort of pick. And I went with Julio Rodriguez of the Seattle Mariners, who's going to help propel this team back into the playoffs. He didn't have the greatest year last year. He has been regressing on the offensive side pretty much every year since his rookie campaign, where he finished seventh in MVP voting, was the rookie of the year, All Star, Silver Slugger, all that. Second year in the league, he did regress a little bit down to an 818 OPS, but still was able to crank 32 homers, 103 RBIs. Looked great. Last year, we saw that dip to a 734, only hit 20 homers, 68 RBIs. But I think if you look at the underlying numbers, he should be able to play up from that. Obviously, hitting in Seattle isn't the easiest thing to do, but I think if there's anybody who can do it, it's Julio, and this team desperately needs it. And it'll create a great storyline if he's able to basically him and Cal Raleigh are able to carry this offense to the postseason. I think it would be a great storyline. Again, building storylines is just as important as performing, and I think Julio Rodriguez could do that. Then you have my National League MVP vote, which again is kind of about building storylines. Plus, he's in a contract year. It is Kyle Tucker. Imagine he goes out and wins the MVP this year, helps get the Cubs to the playoffs, helps them win their division. Kyle Tucker has the chance to really put his name up there in the contract conversation. Obviously, he's already going to get paid massively, but he could be really getting up there in the numbers next off season. So it's definitely motivation for him to do it. Obviously, he's already a great player, posts ridiculous numbers, plays fine in the outfield. Just there's everything kind of culminating together. There is just a room for him to create a narrative, create great stats, and put up a great year. This is my second year picking a Cub in a row to win the MVP, so that's probably not a great omen. But I think Kyle Tucker is in for a monster year in Chicago. And that brings us to the culmination of the season, the MLB playoffs. We're going to start out here on the American League side once again, starting with the 6 seed versus the 3 seed in the Minnesota Twins and the New York Yankees. I'd like to go with the Twins. I like their pitching staff. I like some of the pieces they have, especially if they can stay healthy. They finally won a postseason series here as of late. So there is room for me to like the Twins, but the Yankees, for whatever reason, always beat the Twins in the postseason. So I just had to stick with history with this one. I pushed the Yankees through in this scenario. Then we have on the bottom side, we have the Baltimore Orioles facing the Seattle Mariners. I love the Seattle Mariners pitching staff. I think if they're gonna get beat really handily, there is a chance for them to do so in the 3 game series where the Orioles will have Zach Eflin going. They'll be able to turn over that lineup. But at the end of the day, I just love the Seattle Mariners pitching. I think they don't need much from Julio Rodriguez and Cal Raleigh and others. So for that, I propelled them forward to face the Boston Red Sox as the number 1 seed in the American League. This is where I think the Mariners kind of get exposed for their lineup over the course of a long series. They have the pitching staff, but I just don't know that they had the bats to compete. Boston, they have a really good lineup top to bottom, especially once you implement those 3 powerful rookies into a lineup with Rafael Devers, Alex Bregman, even a guy like Duran. There's just a lot of pieces here for Boston to put together a good, solid run. On the top half of the things, you have the Yankees versus Rangers. I think the Yankees will get exposed here a little bit, especially because the weakness of the Rangers is that rotation, but the Yankees don't exactly have a powerful lineup top to bottom that you're really fearful of anymore. We all know Aaron Judge's struggles in the postseason, but the rest of the lineup doesn't scare you in the same way whenever they had Juan Soto. So for that, I pushed the Texas Rangers through. That leaves the Red Sox and Rangers here in the championship series. I pushed the Red Sox through. I think they just clicked all the right buttons, and if everything culminates the way it is in my world right here, I just think they will be a phenomenal team here, and I think that'll push them through. I think the lineup, top to bottom, the rotation will be solid. There's just a lot to like here for me for the Boston Red Sox. Over on the National League side of things, we'll start up here at the top again with the number 3 seeded Chicago Cubs facing the number 6 seeded Atlanta Braves. This was a tough one for me. It was really a toss up because you're having to count on the Atlanta Braves bouncing back. And I think the Cubs are going to be able to build something kind of special this year with their team. So it was kind of like back and forth because I know what the Atlanta Braves represent. I know what the Cubs could be. So I went with the Atlanta Braves because I really wanted to see them in their next matchup against the Philadelphia Phillies. But before we can get to that, we have to talk about the New York Mets and the Arizona Diamondbacks. This was another series. I went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I think if there is a series for the Mets to win, it is in a short series like this one because I think they have some starting pitching that'll be good for them. Obviously, you have Kodai Senga, you have Sean Manaea, but they don't necessarily have the long lasting rotation to get them through a game 3, game 4 that I really trust. So I think that a short series like this, where it's 3 games, that'll be made for them, especially because they have a special offense now with Juan Soto. So I have them pushing forward to the divisional round. Moving back up to the Braves and Phillies, this is a tough one again because they always play each other tight, and the Phillies always seem to come out on top. So I just kind of went with history here. Philadelphia Phillies, they've built a really stacked team. We're waiting to see it all kind of culminate in the postseason, especially for a later run. They finally lengthened out that rotation, just absolutely stacked top to bottom. The lineup has its question marks at the bottom end. We've kind of just been waiting on them to pull it through because we all know Bryson Stott, Bryce Harper, all the names at the top, Trey Turner, they have all performed, but then you get to the bottom and it's like kind of hit or miss sometimes. So this will be where they perform, at least in this series for the divisional round to get them through to the championship series. At the bottom half, you had the Los Angeles Dodgers versus the New York Mets. This was a toss up for me because there's a part of me that hates to repeat things as a predictor. I hate having a team, win or go on runs after they just won the World Series. But it's so hard to predict against the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I just don't know the Mets have the long standing rotation that can get them through a series, especially as they progressively get longer. Again, the shorter the series, the better they'll be. And I think with 5 games, the Mets can certainly still win, but I just trust the Dodgers too much with this team. And then we move to the championship series, Phillies versus Dodgers. I think this is the matchup that we kind of missed out on last year. And I don't know. It's just I can't pick against the Dodgers. The Phillies, I like this team. I want them to succeed. I want to see them in the World Series, but they're just going to fall short once again at the final doorstep. That leaves the Red Sox against the Dodgers in the World Series. This team for the Dodgers, it's just I don't think they can be beat in a 7-game series. The rotation is just filthy. They can throw out anybody. Think about all the names they can throw out from this rotation throughout a 7-game series. Oh, it's disgusting. You go all the way from Kershaw to Otani to Yamamoto to Roki Sasaki, Dustin May, even. Like, there's names top to bottom that make this rotation just absolutely disgusting. I love what Boston's putting together, but I just can't pick against the Dodgers. So I'm going to have them as my World Series winner once again. Again, I hate picking, repeat winners, but it's just how it is with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And that's going to do it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, this is all predictions. It's all good fun. So who knows what's going to happen. I'm probably going to be wrong about the majority of this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know where you guys stand. Let me know where you guys have teams finishing, winning the World Series, award winners, stuff like that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys for watching and have a wonderful day.